What's good? What's good? What's good, man? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Father's Day edition to the Voice of the Fan Sunday Special. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope I'm catching you guys before you get out there and get on the grill, or before many of your fathers get pampered and catered to today. Here's wishing all you fathers out there, deadbeat fathers, stepfathers, mentors, and role models. Each and all you guys, wish you guys a happy Father's Day. As you guys know, this is a condensed version of the Voice of the Fans podcast. So today we're just going to hit you with a couple topics just to whet your palate, Cleavon, and we have to talk about the NBA Finals. Obviously, we got the finals still going on. Tomorrow will be Game 5. I'm going to get your feedback on the NBA Finals and where they stand. And we have to recap Gervonta Tank Davis against Frank the Ghost Martin last night. Pretty intriguing boxing card. Had some other matches, but since Cleveland's not a boxing fan, he won't know who was fighting. David Benavidez went the distance with Alexander Gostok as he went into the 175 pound light heavyweight, I believe it is, division. So he went the distance. Didn't look like the monster, but he went the distance and won easily. And then we have to make an adjustment to our memorable moments, fans. I have to figure out a way to discuss these memorable moments in sports. And today I think I have found an adequate replacement. We can't play the videos for copyright sake, but I think I found an adequate replacement and how we're going to talk about memorable moments. So, Cleveland, I asked you earlier, moments ago, I thought we started the show, Cleveland, in 2011. Again, it's been through various iterations of this podcast. We were on the phone, then we were recording our conversations. We've been doing this roughly. I thought it was 2011, but there's been some events that I don't think we actually spoke about when it happened, and we're going to get to that later. So the kind of we'll discuss the timeline when it get to that segment, but it's kind of pushed back our start date, if you will. It kind of pushed it back a little bit, and you'll know exactly what I mean when we get there. But Cleveland, NBA Finals, the Celtics are 4-1, obviously. After the Mavericks put the 38-point smackdown on them at home. Now, we know Boston has a tendency to play with their food. Was this a situation of Boston playing with their food, or was this a situation the other night, Friday night, I believe it was, where the Mavericks just didn't want to be swept, and so they were playing their best basketball to avoid getting eliminated on their home court? This was their first game out of the series, so they won games out of three where they scored over 100 points, and the Celtics just looked listless and lifeless. And this was their first game scoring where they didn't reach 100 points. So, what's your thoughts? What went into this? Was this more good Mavericks or bad Celtics?
Good Mavericks. I mean, it was absolute desperation. They knew that this was an elimination game. All the games from here on out are elimination. It's a 1-3 deficit for them. So kudos to them for coming out and showing the heart that they should have been showing the last three games. So shouldn't have taken them this long to figure things out, but they finally did. The Celtics certainly did not come out with the intensity that they should have, expecting this type of effort from the Mavericks. They could have swept them, but instead they just chose to lie down and take it back to Boston. But as we've seen, in years past, that's a mistake because injuries happen, bad calls happen, anything can happen. So you've still left the door slightly ajar. I wouldn't say it's open, considering that the Celtics are up 3-1 and only have to win one of the next three games to win the series. But it certainly puts all of those other things in play all of a sudden.
So they have Game 5 back in Boston. They're gonna have the the yellow rope on the sidelines. They're gonna have the Larry O'Brien trophy is gonna be in the building. Boston fans are gonna be going crazy. I'm sure um, people are gonna get off work early that day. School may let out at noon that day. The bars are gonna open a little earlier than typical. Well, it's the East Coast, so those games come on at 8:30. That's that's kind of wild that the games come on 8:30. I guess schools will start late on Tuesday. Should are scheduling this a late start on Tuesday? Should Boston win this game? Do you expect the Boston Celtics to finish them off at home, or do you see? Can you see the Mavericks pushing this to a game six?
I can see the Mavericks pushing it to a game six. I've been a little bit, not a little bit. I've been uh, extremely disappointed in Jason Tatum not turning the level of his game up to kind of put things away here.
Well, hold on. Jason Tatum is the best player on the team.
I understand that, but he has not played up to his potential, up to his abilities to this point. So it's been disappointing for me. Jalen's continued to kind of carry them, production wise and emotional wise. Horford is still giving them that veteran leadership. Um, they're taking this Porzingis injury way too much to heart. They have no talent to beat the Mavericks without him, and I feel like they've kind of been using that as kind of an excuse and an explanation as to not playing their best basketball. But I think the Dallas Mavericks can actually get Game 5 and send it to Game 6 and see what happens.
Ooh, are you putting anything down on that?
No,
Is this one of your
no, no,
Shekel City bets? Is this one of your locks of the week?
no. This is not a lock of the week by any means.
Is this just hoping that the Mavericks win on Monday to prolong the NBA season?
From the outside looking in, I mean, Luka and Kyrie have enough firepower to take them out in Game 5, considering the fact that Jason Tatum hasn't really shown up to this point. And if he continues to be, somewhat missing in action, then that gives him an opportunity to get that game.
So Tatum has been doing other things like passing the ball, rebound.
Yeah.
I mean that doesn't work.
No. Mm-mm. That works in like game 50, 55 of the season, when you need those, do those other things to, help your team win, contribute however you can. But this is the finals, man. We need to see JT from St. Louis. Haven't seen him.
Well, that is Jaylen Brown's been kind of the scoring leader and hogging the ball. Is that, do you give Tatum a pass because now other guys are the Mavericks focusing in on Tatum, allowing the other guys to have a better game? And do we credit does Jason Tatum deserve credit for facilitating the others and allowing Jaylen Brown to go off and not going 5 for 25 in the NBA finals because he's not been the best we've seen, and he's not trying to steal the limelight. He's allowing his teammates to shine. Does Tatum deserve credit for that?
He deserves some credit for having the opportunity to contribute in other ways, but still, this is superstar time, and he has not played like a superstar. So let's see what's happening.
What's up, Matt? He says he's been a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he's been doing other things. I didn't say he hasn't been contributing at all, but that's not what we're looking for in the finals.
Boston looked tired last game. If they come out slow again, is going 7. I mean, can we use tired as an excuse, JT? Because Luka has Luka been healthy? It's all series long. Weren't we saying that Luka's tired and Luka's exhausted? Um, I mean, I don't know that that's an adequate excuse. And Brown has been playing Brown has been I think he's taken the next step and actually elevated himself to being the best player on the Celtics team. Um, and we're seeing it here now. What Cleveland is trying to say is that the best players rise at the most critical moments, and that's what we've seen from Jason Tatum. So my question for Cleveland now is, with that being his logic, with that being a series, we've seen what Derek White's been able to do. We've seen what Drew Holiday's been able to do. How they've been rising 3 out of 4 games in this series. Does their stock elevate on in Cleveland's Cleveland's criteria for NBA champion? Because 4 weeks ago, Drew Holiday was a god by association.
Right.
4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I mean, I'll say 2 weeks ago, before this NBA final series started, um, he laughed when I brought up a guy like Derek White, how he's a role player, a glue guy, how he's not really needed on certain teams. But those of you guys who understand basketball, who understand teamwork, who understand the way the dynamics of team play, team participation, understand where a guy like Derek White fits in. Cleveland, not so much. But I would like to ask Cleveland now, since those guys, Derek White, Drew Holiday specifically, have elevated their game here in crunch time, where your philosophy is Jason Tatum, he's his stock kind of lowers in your eyes because he hasn't showed up in big in this NBA finals. Do you elevate Derek White and Drew Holiday?
No, they're contributors, and it's cool that they're contributing.
You see what I'm saying, man? See how I broke that down specifically? I broke that down ideally, and Cleveland still, I laid it out for him. JT, you feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? You see what I'm dealing with, JT? How does Derek White and Drew Holiday not get elevated in the Cleveland the status? JT, I don't know if you read the article, voiceofthefans.org, the criteria for NBA champion that Cleveland put a lot of thought into and saying certain guys are, he gave levels. What is it? The basketball champion, you have the new
we have the newcomers, Cameron. We have the usual suspects. We have the basketball legends, and then we have the basketball gods.
Okay. And before going into the series, where did Derek White fit in? He was a usual suspect.
Oh, he's just one of the others. I wouldn't necessarily say
he didn't even make your category.
He's not. Yeah.
He didn't even make your list. As of this moment, they're in the NBA finals. They're up 3-1 in the NBA finals. The team that Derek White is a part of. Where is his status now?
Contributor, Cameron. If they're depending on,
I don't remember a contributor being one of your categories.
It's not a prerequisite for winning an NBA championship. If we have contributions from those other guys, that's great. It certainly helps in the scenario. But if you're turning to your team and saying, "Man, we need 20 from you tonight, Derek," you're in trouble. In the same way that if Jaylen Brown continues to be the best player on your team, this is going at least 7. JT's got to show up in game 5 or 6.
Oh my, JT, you're agreeing with this mess, JT?
It's because it's real. I mean, come on, man. You can't be looking down the bench at people in the NBA finals like, which one of you guys is gonna come out and get us some loose balls and some offensive rebounds and some putbacks and play some
make some plays that matter. Make some instrumental plays. Make some plays that matter.
Some plays that matter is great, but that's not something you can anchor your team around. There is no anchor.
Phoenix needs a lot of things right now.
That's cool. I mean, yeah,
he's a team first player that puts the team first. Yeah, that every winning team.
You want to know why they need that?
Winning team.
You want to know why they need that, Cam? Because they have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. They need somebody that doesn't need the basketball and can score, like, when they have an opportunity to do so. But the pressure is not on them to do that every night. You turn around and put 20-point a game pressure on Derek White and see what kind of player he turns into.
Are you saying Derek White can't put up points? Is that where we're going now?
And not if you're dependent on him. Not if you turn to him and say, "Hey, man, we need 20 from you tonight." If you look up and he had 20, be like, "Oh, okay, cool, good, man, thanks." But like, no, we need 20 from you tonight. Now that's a problem.
I don't think White appreciate. I don't think White actually cares what you think of his game. But I just want to take a look at and see Derek White, a player that's been in the game this season. He's averaging a career high 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4.2 rebounds, 5 assists, and he plays excellent defense. He knows he plays heady basketball. You don't need that on the team, is what you're saying.
And he shows up on time, and he's always a good teammate, and he gets everybody, water and oranges, at halftime, so they can rehydrate and replenish themselves. That's cool.
You're cold. You're cold. That's a cold. Okay. So who if the series ends on Monday night, is it going to be in Tatum? Let's say your boy Tatum goes off for 35. Who wins the MVP?
Jaylen Brown.
So Jaylen Brown's to lose.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday, he's not a factor in the squad. He's not a factor. You're going to say Memphis doesn't mean not Memphis. Milwaukee doesn't miss a guy like Drew Holiday on the team.
They certainly do. His presence is certainly missed, and he has contributed at a high level. But he's not going to be the reason that they win this series.
He is not the reason that they're going to win the series. So who do you think is guarding Kyrie Irving? Who do you think is guarding that guy?
Drew has been doing a great job.
So you don't think Drew Holiday? You don't think Drew Holiday, the Bucks not having Drew Holiday is a factor in their season? I mean, they didn't make it very far in the playoffs, but you don't think that's been a factor in their season at all? Having a guy like Drew Holiday on their team.
Absolutely. That's been a factor in the results of their season. However, an even bigger factor than that is that Giannis and Dame Dollar weren't healthy.
So Giannis and Dame Dollar, they didn't need a guy. They didn't need a guy like Drew on their team.
No, they did need a guy like him on their team. Everybody needs a Drew Holiday. He's a consummate professional, knows his role, is not an egomaniac like most NBA superstars are. So, yeah, you need that calming effect in the locker room. You need that calming effect on the floor. You need someone that's going to do what they're supposed to do all the time, and that's great. But when it comes to winning NBA Finals, you need that dude, someone that's going to take over and finish the job. And that's not going to be Drew Holiday.
So I'm hearing you saying, what I'm hearing you say actually inside your ignorance and not knowing who wrote the importance of having role players and glue guys on your team. What I'm hearing you saying is Jason Tatum is playing his way out of being that dude.
Yeah. You are 100% hearing that.
All right, fans, what do you guys think? What do you guys thinking that? Yeah, I mean, I know health is obviously a factor, but you need this type of player on your team to kind of relieve some of the pressure off of these guys.
The problem is, Cameron, you put too much emphasis on those other players, and that's not how this works, man. You can't. That's why teams get to a point and they can't go any further because they need too much contribution from those other players, and they're not able to give you that consistently. They can give you that, on occasion, spot appearances for that kind of thing, but if you're depending on that every night, you're depending on something that's not adequate with regards to the other team.
So the Dallas Mavericks put too much trust and faith in Derek Lively. They put too much trust and faith in a PJ Washington.
There you go.
They put too much trust.
Remember how you were talking me to death about PJ Washington last series? Ooh, if it wasn't PJ Washington, they wouldn't be where they were right now. Yeah, okay.
I mean, isn't PJ Washington playing? Isn't he playing the deep major one playing defense on your guy Jason Tatum, who you're willing to say right now Jason Tatum has played his way out of being a so-called superstar?
You see him getting mentally and physically tired.
I'm sorry.
The gravity of the situation is starting to become overwhelming for him.
For who?
For PJ.
You just told me Jason Tatum is playing his way out of superstardom, and who's been guarding him primarily this series? Help me out with that one.
Primarily, it's been PJ Washington.
So on one hand,
so it's more about what Jason Tatum isn't doing than what PJ Washington is doing.
So on one hand, you want to take credit from PJ Washington from what he's doing, and then you want to say
I'm not taking credit from him. I'm saying, hey man, give him less of the responsibility with regards to the overall factor in how they're going to win a championship. Again, if you're looking for PJ to score you 20 these next 3 games, you're asking a lot.
I hear you, JT. Yeah, he hasn't. So this is weird. So on one hand, you're saying PJ has not been a factor, but on the other saying, you're saying him being able to limit the other team, one of the other team's top 2 scorers, is not a benefit to the Mavericks.
It's a benefit, Cameron. It's a contribution, but it's not enough of a contribution to win a championship. They need more. They need Luka and Kyrie to play like Luka and Kyrie.
They need more scoring. I agree with you there. They need a more consistent scoring threat. I will grant you that. But how do you take? I mean, it hasn't even been what you just mentioned it, JT. You just mentioned it. Tatum hasn't been what he's been all series long.
Right. So that's what he's saying. Like, he hasn't been really playing up to superstar status all playoffs. So you're giving PJ a little bit too much credit for like this shutdown thing. Like, he's been like just, all over him like Tayshaun Prince, like white on rice. It hasn't been that. JT just hasn't really been playing that well.
And here you go. Put him in a Derek White category. Oh my goodness. You guys.
Yeah, JT, man, yeah. It's game 5. Oh my! See, this is what.
So make a prediction. Make a prediction. Then
talking about PJ Washington and Derek Lively and Derek White, and like, no, that's not how this is going to get done.
Make a prediction then, because all I know.
Let's say Celtics in 7.
Oh, so you see the Mavericks coming back and winning a couple more games.
If they get game 5, game 6 is, I think, a foregone conclusion.
Well, I mean, so you don't want to give Lively any credit, but Lively was 4 for 5 the other night in 3 quarters. And Lively had 12 rebounds the other night.
Let me switch this up real quick, and let me go to a sport that you're a little bit more comfortable with, a little bit more familiar with. Okay, special teams is not going to win you a Super Bowl. They certainly will contribute, and I mean, if you have Jason Tucker or Harris Butker, that's great. That means if you get the ball to a certain part of the field, you can get some points. If you have great coverage on punts and kickoffs, that's great, man. That means you're holding the other team, inside the 30-yard line. But that's not how you're going to win a Super Bowl, Cameron. Not with great tackling on, on kickoff coverage. Somebody's going to have to step up and make a play.
So
Like a
did you?
superstar.
Are you calling Pete?
Patrick Mahomes.
Are you calling? Are you calling? Are you calling PJ Brown and Derek White special team?
Yeah, I'm calling PJ Washington and Derek White special teams coverage guru.
Did you just call Derek White?
A gunner. He's an incredible gunner.
Oh my goodness. That might be the funniest thing you called. You just called Derek White a gunner on special team play on punt coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, you're terrible. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That might be the funniest thing I've heard. Oh my goodness. And you got JT buying right into this crap. JT actually makes a prediction. Good looking out to you, JT. Actually making a prediction. Dallas by 4 in a close game in the Garden. Ooh,
Yeah.
a close game in the Garden, huh?
I could 100% see that happening.
Wow.
Especially if JT keeps playing the way he's been playing to this point.
Why do you think he's playing that way? Why do you think he's playing that way?
He's been playing that way all playoffs. I don't know why. I'm as much I'm as surprised as you are, Cameron. This is supposed to be his time.
So could it be because he got Deuce on the floor every pregame show and kicking it in the locker room? And
maybe.
I mean,
he is trying to make him a little bit too much part of this experience, in my opinion. But that's
right. Like that. Steph Curry and his daughter, like that was kind of a little bit more authentic, right?
And, yeah, it was after the game, and it's like, okay, I'm talking to the press, come talk with me, okay. But yeah, this is like,
I mean, he might well get his son a jersey and just be the ball boy or something. I don't know. That it seems a little bit much to me. But you call these guys oh my goodness. He called these guys gunners and special teams players. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, fans. I'm a little confused. I'm a little caught off guard by that categorization. Excuse me.
I'm glad it was an analogy you could understand and kind of equate to kind of what's going on out here on the court.
I didn't say I agree with it. I'm just kind of caught off guard by it right there. But I do hope we get I hope we get a good game. I can see I can see it going either way here. I can see the Mavericks going up to Boston and getting blown out in Game 5. I can see Boston losing Game 5 because they oftentimes play with their food. They don't have the best record at home. They were on like an eight game winning streak here, so losing one game, that was kind of understandable, but are they focused now? Do they give the Mavericks just enough life? See, I think they gave Kyrie and Luka just enough life to bring it back home, and then they'll be in that same position again. One game and just giving it. Now the Mavericks are thinking just win one game, one game at home, and then we can go back to Boston and really put the pressure, because the pressure's on the Mavericks, or excuse me, the pressure's on the Celtics to win. Like I said, it's going to be the yellow ropes on the side of the court, the Larry O'Brien and why they put the Larry O'Brien in the Louis Vuitton case. I mean, is that so corny or what? Now the Larry O'Brien is going to be in the building. They might have it right there for the players to see coming as they come out of the locker room. That will put a little bit more pressure on them. Is going to be well, I don't know if desperation is the key, because you just said JT is not playing with desperation. So is that going to be the key? I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I can see it going either way. And yes, I'm with you. I'm not gonna put nothing on it, but I can see it going either way. I can see Dallas going up there, just try to, luckily we didn't get swept, and now they go to Boston for the ceremonial sacrificial lambs. Or I can see them going up there with the mindset of let's bring it back home. And we know that Boston, the Celtics, has a tendency to play with their food, so I can't see that going either way. Selfishly, I like to see it go at least 6 games to make the series interesting. But we'll all be tuned in to see what happens. So I'm looking forward to it. Cleveland, let's talk about the fight last night. That some of you may have missed. Cleveland. Now, if you call yourself a boxing fan and you already admitted that Tank Davis is one of the guys that you want to see, why wouldn't you pony up the little $39 it was to see Tank Davis? You got to see um the Mexican monster David Benavidez and Tank Davis on the same card for the little $39. Why wouldn't you pony it up?
Because of the opponents they were fighting, Cam. Frank the what you call him, Frank the Animal Martin or whatever. You saw how that went. Benavidez, won a decision. That's great. Yeah, I would have been I probably wouldn't have been upset just because of the brutal nature with which Tank Davis knocked out Martin. I mean, there's some entertainment value to that, but again, it's Frank Martin. Yeah.
Frank Martin was undefeated going into the night. He was
oh man, you know about that undefeated and what that means, Cam. That means he ain't been fighting nobody. That means he ain't got the matchups because of the two arguing boxing entities wouldn't allow other fights. You know how this works.
So what fight would draw you out? If Tank was fighting, you've been ignoring all fights all season long. Oh, they're not fighting nobody. Oh, it's not. Oh, I'll tune into Tank. But Tank has a fight all year long. Boxing's been having good cards all year long. You don't want to tune in to either one of them. Tank fights and you still don't tune in. What bout would you tune in to see?
I'm tuning in to watch a Tank fight Fimo. That's a good fight.
No, the best fight out there is Tank versus Stevenson. That's the best fight out there. I don't think we're going to see that fight though.
How come, Cam?
JT.
How come we're not going to see that fight?
Tank is with PVC.
Oh,
Stevenson is with Top Rank.
So when you say you're not going to see that fight, what you really should be saying is because of the politics of boxing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's been the turnoff the last couple of years, Cam. You don't get to see the big fights because these two factions don't like each other.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
It's all about them and not the fans.
I can't really refute that, but I don't think we're going to see that fight, and that's why. But Martin had Tank was coming off a 14-month layoff. Martin just fought earlier, 4 months ago, I believe. So he was on a kind of quick bounce back. Martin started off well. Won the first round. I think I had him winning the first 3 of the first 4 rounds. I'll put it like that. He won 3 of the first 4 rounds. And then Tank slowed him down with a couple body punches and really significantly slowed him down. For whatever reason, Tank kept drifting to the corners. Martin kept drifting to the corners. I don't understand it. It was bad philosophy. I could see it from sitting on my couch. Derek James actually mentioned, look, in the 4th round, you're getting a little comfortable. Stop going in the corners. And I don't know how, as a boxer, he was doing well in the middle of the rings, using his speed, using his quickness, using the feet work, staying out of trouble, staying out of the corners, essentially. But he was boxing well in the middle of the ring. When you're boxing well in the middle of the ring, how you drift into the corners where you're getting lit up? I mean, that just didn't make a lot of sense. Every time he go in the corners, Tank would get him with another body blow, and he'd get him with a left hook to the body, and then the right hook to his forehead. Like, dog, aren't you feeling these punches? And it's only happening when you get in the corners. But for whatever reason, once and Tank did something that was pretty strange. You got to give this kid credit. Like, um, I've been refusing to give Tank the credit that he deserved for uh, most of his early years in prime time, but because I wasn't sure if he was fighting anybody until we saw laying a couple people out. But Tank, the first, I say 2.5 rounds, he literally was walking Frank Martin down, controlling the tempo of the fight without throwing punches. Like without throwing punches, he just kind of put the pressure on him, walked right into Frank Martin's face, and had his guard up, just walked straight into his face without throwing punches. And it was pretty unusual that he just kept as Martin would move around the ring, Tank just kept stalking him and was not throwing punches. That was the unusual thing about it. Is usually somebody's walking you down, they're trying to throw punches and get you to go either direction. And that's what I'm saying. Once he started connecting with his punches, Martin kept drifting to the corners. Um, it was very interesting. It was very interesting. Martin had some good shots. He caught some good shots. He caught Tank with some good shots, I should say. But once I had Martin going into the fifth round, it was 3-3. It was 3-3 going into the seventh round. Now Tank had started connecting. You could see Martin had slowed down. He was connected with enough body punches that Martin had slowed down significantly. And Tank was kind of taking control of the fight. He was walking him down easily. Martin wasn't putting in any resistance, didn't dance enough, didn't use his feet enough, or he just. I don't want to say got tired. I want to say those body punches slowed him down significantly, and then he kept drifting to those corners. I just don't understand how he was drifting to the corners and not understand that he's getting. That's where he's getting punched at. That's where Tank is doing the damage, and then in the so I had Tank 4-3, up 4-3 going into the eighth round, and it was a minute and a half into the eighth round as I was texting Martin, stay the hell out of the corners. Um, that he caught him with the left uppercut, and then that Martin said he didn't. Martin in the post fight matchup, Martin said I was in the corners, I was looking for my shot. Tank found his shot faster before I could find my shot. Your shot was not in the corner, big guy. That's where you was getting shots, cause that's where you collecting shots. And he caught him with the uppercut, and then he caught him with that that overhand left that he left his jaw wide open when he caught that uppercut, and he went night night. He went to sleep, and Tank was so confident that the fight was over when he caught him with that overhand left that he, as soon as he hit the ground, he ran to the corner and started dancing before he did his ceremonial backflip. He didn't even look back. He didn't even look back to see, is he getting up? Is he going to do the standing 8 count? He just jumped on the ropes and started doing the dance. And then when the ref blew it over, then he did the dance a second more and then did his backflip. He knew what was going on. So congratulations for earning you some money, JT.
Nice.
Yeah, it was I didn't understand the game plan for Frank Martin. And I guess everybody has a game plan until you got hit. And Martin, we see that his game plan failed him. So I would like to see a Tank Davis or Gervonta Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. I just don't think we'll see that. Your boy Teofimo don't want that. Teofimo. There's talk about him fighting with Vasily Lomachenko. I mean, this would have been a good fight 2 years ago.
But as usual, boxing is a little late with their come to realization of what's a good fight and what's not.
If we were to see this fight in November, I mean, obviously I tune in to watch it. Not a fight that I'm get on an airplane and going to Vegas to watch. It'd be a lot of fanfare because it'll be a lot of fanfare because now you get this Ukrainian uh versus a black dude from Baltimore, and so a lot of people will tune in. That'll definitely be a pay-per-view fight, get a lot of views, a lot of attention, but it's a fight that probably should have happened 2 years ago. Ryan Garcia, he's saying he wants a rematch with Tank Davis. Well, Ryan, I mean, obviously he's coming off of the situation where he he had the Austrian in the system and failed the drug test with Devin Haney, so he's looking for a rebound fight. I thought Ryan Garcia talked his way into that fight the first fight that they had, as he did with the fight with Devin Haney. Um, so I'm not really confident. I don't think Ryan deserves to fight Tank again. It may happen because Ryan does have he's the social media star and he has a presence, so that could possibly happen again. I don't really care to see that fight, but same thing's going to happen. But those are the couple fights that's on the table. Teofimo Lopez, same. I think Teofimo's a free agent. I know he used to be with Top Rank. I don't think he may have fought his last fight with Top Rank. Um, so that might be an option. I don't see Teofimo. I mean, like Ryan Garcia, he'll talk up a good fight, but he don't. Um, yeah. So if we can get Shakur Stevenson, that might be the best fight to see. That might be the best fight to see in that particular uh in boxing. That might be the fight to see. Cleveland, let me go on a rant real quick, man. I do want to get our most memorable moment in sports. But did you hear the Atlanta Falcons were fined for tampering to get Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, and Charlie Warner. Did you hear about this? They were fined for tampering. The team got fined 250K, slapping the wrist for Arthur Blank. GM got fined 50K, which dropping the bucket for these guys, and they got fined a 2005 or 2025 fifth round pick. Did you hear about this?
I did hear it. Yeah.
The Eagles, though they suspect some tampering with Saquon Barkley, the Eagles will not be penalized for tampering with Saquon Barkley. A few seasons ago, Cleveland, my Miami Dolphins were fined $1.5 million and a first rounder and a fourth rounder for tampering for players that we didn't even get. We didn't even get Sean Payton. We didn't even get Tom Brady. Now I don't want to go on the record and say that there's a vendetta like David Stern had against the city of Seattle, and essentially gave the Sonics away. But Goodell and the Miami Dolphins, what's going on here, Cleveland? Like this seems like you get two teams tampering, and the most they get fined is $300,000 and a fifth round pick. They took a first rounder and a fourth rounder from the Miami Dolphins and fined them over $1 million more. Cleveland, explain this to me.
It's painfully obvious, Cam. The tampering was much more egregious by Ross than it was by Mr. Blank. That's what it comes down to. The tampering with regards to going to get Kirk Cousins was, a little bit, maybe a phone call too many, maybe a phone call, maybe a couple of weeks, premature. But
all Ross tried to do is coordinate.
The way they were going after Brady and Peyton was, off the charts, man. They brought down the dancing girls and the yachts and
all Ross had to do was say, "Go have dinner with the quarterback."
Mark Anthony performed, at one of the ceremonies. They went all out. They rolled out the red carpet for those two. When they, behind closed doors, and it's just not right. the way that they were trying to do that, trying to circumvent the system. That's why they got hit so hard.
I mean, don't blame me because they live in the city where Mark Anthony is just right down the street, and they have the best strip clubs in America. Why are you blaming the owner for that? Don't blame the owner because he can take you on a fancy yacht and with clear turquoise water, and you can drive around. Around all over.
So you see the difference, right? He's actually doing all those things where the Atlanta Falcons owner was like, hey, this is Arthur. Just want to see if he was interested. Got some things we talked about. Text me back if when you get a chance. That's different.
Arthur Blank said we can build a backyard. We can send a Home Depot. We can build a backyard for you in one of your mansions. Well, does he need that? Kirk Cousins made more money in the NFL than any quarterback ever. Does he need somebody to build a deck in his backyard?
Which is why he was just throwing like a text out there, just keep us in mind. Adverse, going with the full court press, bringing out the show ponies, et cetera, for those two, and did it twice. Did it for both of them,
and didn't get either one of them.
Well, that's neither here nor there, Cam. It's the pomp and circumstance that went into it that trying to get those guys is why they get hit so hard.
A first rounder and $1.5 million. Man, that was egregious.
Yeah, that's a don't do it again, for sure. We're on to you. Mm-hmm.
If Roger Goodell didn't deserve to lose his job years ago for this whole fiasco with Colin Kaepernick, this is ground for firing here. What he's doing with the mistreatment of my man Stephen Ross.
Goodell's going nowhere until he wants to leave. So, and I think that's maybe 15, 20 years down the road. So,
I don't appreciate it. I'm gonna actually send a petition in to Roger Goodell because the Dolphins either need some money back or we need another first rounder for what you guys penalized the Atlanta Falcons a 5th round pick. The Dolphins need to be granted a 5th round. A first round. What do they call it? What was Brian Bosworth's draft? Supplemental draft. We need a first round supplemental pick for this uneven treatment that you've given the Dolphins in comparison to the tampering that the Atlanta Falcons have done.
No, sir.
What do you mean? You found the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles have been fined for tampering or found tampering, and they get combined a $300,000 fine versus the Dolphins $1.5 million. Come on, that's egregious.
The level of tampering was different, Cameron. It's just that simple.
Okay, I had one memorable moment, fans. I have to alter kind of how we do this moment. I had one memorable moment until I turned on NFL TV today, Cleveland. And what game was on NFL TV? Do you know what game was on NFL TV?
I do not know what game was on the NFL Network. No, enlighten me.
What do you? When I show you this image here, what comes to mind? When you see that image
there. Ricardo Lockett not fighting for the ball. I'm still sick to my stomach even looking at that.
So, fans, again, I can't play the video for copyright infringement violations, but I can show you, Cleveland, this image. This was a memorable moment of sports. It fits all criteria, Cleveland.
It most certainly does, Cameron.
It fits the criteria.
Perhaps one of the top 5 most memorable moments in Super Bowl history.
Cleveland, talk to me. Where were you in this moment? Or were you celebrating? Did you have a beer in hand? Did you have a tequila? Did you have a 40 in hand? What was going? Because you couldn't expect it a moment like this. I mean, it wasn't. It really wasn't going into the play before the snap of the play. It really wasn't a dramatic moment. It really wasn't. It was kind of a. To be honest with you, I'll tell you where I was when this happened. I was in a bar, crowded bar, and there weren't. I actually had it. I don't have the jacket, but I actually had a Seahawks sweat jacket on. Okay, I actually had on Seahawks gear this day at a bar in LA. A lot of other bandwagon fans. And this moment, like it was high-fiving going on in this moment, celebrating. The Seahawks winning back-to-back Super Bowls. In this specific moment, it was celebration, and the play kind of was happening, and I think I looked up to this TV for confirmation that they actually got in the end zone. And so I had to watch the play on replay, Cleveland. I imagine it's a very similar experience for yourself.
Well, Cameron, it's very painful to get back into into this space. But I was in Scottsdale sitting on Chuck Ham's couch. Had just come up with a dramatic play just to get the ball down to the 1 yard line.
Yeah, the pedestrian receiver it wasn't a play to get down to the 1 yard line. That was a typical play that you give to beast mode. The play was cursed on us, bouncing the ball off his knee, his foot, his ankle, his right hip, and catching the ball, spinning ball with his fingertips before he fell out of bounds. That was a dramatic play.
Right. So once the ball was on the 1 yard line, it was like you're saying, pretty much a foregone conclusion that they were just going to hand the ball off to beast mode in short yardage and get the 1 yard. And then the offensive coordinator decided to get cute and try this play, and it didn't work. So it's heartbreaking a loss as there's ever been that I've been associated with. I believe Richard Sherman's expression says it all. I believe Richard.
Oh, that's the one I was looking for. Actually, that's the image I was looking for. Oh, Sherman's expression was like, what?
It completely fractured the team. They were never able to come back together. And this is one of those examples where all of those sports cliches, they just don't work, man. It doesn't come down to one play. It's just one game. You can still regroup and get back there again. And this is when we come together and use this as fuel and motivation to do better. No. None of those worked. After this happened, that team was never, ever the same. And that historically great defense always resented the offense to a point that there was always dissension between the two of them. Horrible play.
How can Pete allow that play to be called?
Did the same thing at SC, did he not?
No, he gave the ball to Lindell White. But he gave it to Reggie Bush, and the quarterback went and pushed.
Reggie Bush wasn't on the field when they did that. It was 4th and 1, and Reggie Bush was not in the game. It's some weird thing that you do. Otherwise, why don't you just give the ball to Reggie Bush 3 feet?
Because Reggie Bush is not. I talked to you about this a few weeks ago.
I'm so sorry. I
talked to you about this a few weeks ago. Reggie Bush was not in between the tackles. It was Lindell Wade.
It's because they don't like Reggie Bush. But again, Pete Carroll does weird stuff like this. I don't know, man. You gotta override that call right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Like, okay, you're idiot. The dude wasn't a brilliant offensive coordinator. He just had Russell Wilson and beast mode running his plays. He was not a great offensive wizard.
Darryl Bevell is by no means an offensive guru.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Pete, why don't you Say no, we're gonna run the ball. What,
Yeah, I don't know.
I blame Pete for not overruling his play. He has a microphone.
That's
The
valid.
play, the play comes. He has to hear the play that's being called. Is it that the rumor is that they want to make Russell the MVP? Is it was that the case? Because you have to hear the call, and you got the clock's running down. You're on the 1 yard line. Marshawn Lynch just rushed for 5 yards to get you from the 5.5 to the 1 to the half yard line. He just ran for 5 yards. So if you give him the ball again, chances are he falls into the end zone just by happenstance. Just by sheer Marshawn Lynch beast mode alone, he falls into the end zone. And you still got a timeout.
And since we're ripping off the Band-Aid, man, and pulling out the scabs, the thing that really, really bothered me about this is when Malcolm Butler says, "I knew the play was coming because of the formation. We had watched it in film, and I knew that what they were going to do." So
you don't believe him?
No, I do. So not only were they trying to be tricky, they weren't even being tricky because it was so predictable. Right. Because this is the only formation that they run this play out of.
But you don't.
So they know it's coming.
Middle. You don't throw it over the middle. This is not. Gonzalez, who's the tight end who used to play for Kansas City, and then moved to Atlanta.
Tony Gonzalez.
You're not throwing it to Tony Gonzalez over the middle. You're not throwing it to Antonio Gates over the middle. You have pedestrian receivers. In fact, none of these receivers should be going over the middle. It should be an all outside if you throw it outside, but you don't want to throw it outside because you're on the goal line. Russell did not Russell has a noodle arm, but you don't throw this ball over the middle. You don't throw the ball out all. You run the ball. Worst pass play or worst call play in NFL history. You run the ball with Marshawn Lynch on the half-yard line to win your consecutive Super Bowls. Horrible, horrible, horrible decision. But Cleveland, I just want to know from you what your thoughts were on this play. Because the segment is we're reliving memorable moments in sports history, Cleveland. So we have to, on another note, I've been trying to decide, fans, how long we've been doing this podcast. How long have Cleveland and I been doing Voice of the Fans podcast? And this was what, 2014, right? February 2014?
Yeah, no, we talked about this for sure.
Did we? Did we?
We didn't talk about I don't recall talking about the victory, but we talked about this one. Yeah.
Atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And so I'll go ahead and shut this off now so you don't have to.
Yeah, that was ugly.
Look at that anymore.
That hurts my head.
Oh my goodness. That was ridiculous, fans. Does Pete coach again?
No.
He's done? So this is it's not the lasting memory, but this is the last time he was in that situation, right? In a Super Bowl?
That was his last Super Bowl appearance, yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Any final thoughts, Cleveland? On that image there? On that memorable moment,
it's just what could have been. I mean, like where this team really could have gone. I feel like, again, to make an analogy, I guess it's very similar to like when Portland lost to the Lakers Game 7 in 2000. Like they never ever got back to that level of opportunity again. But this is so much worse than that because the defense was so incredible that you can't let an opportunity like that slip away. And at the time, what I remember is thinking this team is so young and so talented at every position that this is the definition of a dynasty. Because you don't have to really worry about free agent for a couple of years. You don't really have to worry about players getting old and not being around. You don't have to worry about all the other ancillary things that kind of come with building a team. Everything is already intact. you had talked about like competition Thursday, Pete's big thing. But by the time you got to this stage, there was no competition Thursday. Everybody was a Pro Bowler at every position. So we're not actually.
You know what that moment highlighted and what could have fixed that moment? You said everything was fractured, everybody's going different ways, right? That's when coaching comes into play. That's when good coaching comes into play.
No.
Relationship building.
No. There's no coach in the history of coaching that could have held this team together after that play.
It'd have been tough.
I don't care if you're talking about Belichick. I don't care if we're talking about Lombardi. I don't care if we're talking
about Shula,
George Halas. I don't care who you're talking about. They're not holding this team together after that. That defense absolutely despised that offense, and there was no turning back from that point.
What was the record the next year? Clearly they didn't make the Super Bowl. What was the record next year? Did they make the playoffs?
They did. They lost to Carolina at Carolina.
That was the year the Carolina's quarterback just played out
MVP, yeah,
out of his mind that season. That 1 year that you like to say, oh, that 1 year. That was literally that 1 year. How you like to tell?
Touche.
That was literally that 1 year. Man,
13-1.
I mean,
13-1. Yeah.
Okay. Man, that was a memorable moment in sports. I had another one queued up, but I know you would have remembered this moment, but because I turned on NFL Network and that game is literally on right now. It's where we at? The Seahawks up 24-14, 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Now that you're mentioning it, that's when I was getting a little too comfortable because it was like way too easy. Easy the way they were mopping the Patriots. And then Tom Brady just started doing that. Did you ever watch the Tom Brady roast?
No.
Oh, when Ron Burgundy did his set, man, he talked about Tom Brady throwing 3-yard passes over and over again. I was like, that is just reminiscent of that Super Bowl.
I mean, that he throw check down, but no, he's completing first yard.
Because you're playing against the Seahawks defense, what else are you gonna do? I mean, it's not like it's you can get real creative and throw a Sherman side? Nobody throws a Sherman side. Throw across the middle. Earl Thomas is out there. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of options other than that.
I mean, but that was his career. If you remember when he came on his first drive, Super Bowl drive against the Rams, it was check down. It was check down.
Oh yeah. That's his entire career. Without.
I mean, he didn't make in. Say something really silly though. I'm gonna go in on my Tom Brady rant right now. But that was his career. And when your coach schemes it up where you just make your simple pass, simple play, all you do is just get the first down, just move the chains. The game is not that difficult. That's enough. I'm gonna leave it right there, fans. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. I appreciate Cleveland for playing with me. Give yourself a round of applause. Fans, I hope you guys enjoy your Father's Day. I will ask, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the show. If you like the content, share the content with a friend, neighbor, co-worker. Share the content and leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know however you're watching HMB Media TV, YouTube, or Voice of the Fans on YouTube. Let us know how you're watching the show. And leave a comment. Do you like the memorable moments of sports? What are some of your top memorable moments of sports? Maybe we'll discuss that next week as well. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. Give yourself a round of applause. Let's give Cleavon a round of applause today. Thank you, Cleavon, for participating. And everybody, go enjoy your Father's Day. Thank you once again for tuning in. And as always, thank you for making our voice your choice.